All right, welcome back. It is officially go time. All right, so I have everything splayed out. I have all the parts that I need. Now it's just a matter of me doing this. All right, so this is probably where I'm going to go heaviest on the adhesive. Putting a nice bead in there. Sorry, I'm not going to be doing a great job of talking while I'm working today. Sorry. All right, lining up my marks, that's good. Some squeeze out, it's better. It was a little runny a second ago. Let me see if I can fix that. Okay, so better. I'm putting in adhesive just on the bottom of this groove for this floating panel or this side piece. The whole purpose of having this side piece, this one and the one I'm preparing to glue up right now, is so that they can expand as they need to. And so for that reason, I'm only going to be applying adhesive on the bottom of this groove here. It doesn't really make any sense for me to have gone to the trouble of creating these rabbits on the side if I'm not going to be allowing this panel to float freely. Good. Inside of the end pieces. So that's where I'm going to let that one go. All right, so no glue here on any of the panels. I'm going to start with driving these things in lightly, about a quarter of the way in. Okay, so now that I have those in there, I have access to getting on the inside of the joints here, which is what I want to do. If I put glue on first and then I squeeze these things together, a lot of that glue is going to get pushed out and not really get where I want it to be. So I'm going to apply glue on the inside and on the cheeks of the tails. And then once I've done that, then there's glue on both sides, driving it together. It should be fine. All right. I'm going to flip this around so you can see what I'm up to. So this is a good time to discuss the importance of having a partner when you're gluing up. For something like this, a relatively small job for woodworkers that have been doing this for a while, but this is your first time or your first project, there is no shame in asking for help, especially in the glue up stage. The glue up stage is really where everything can possibly go wrong happens in this moment, and Murphy's Law definitely applies here. So having good preparation, having all the stuff out that you need, having it ready to go, no surprises, all critically important. And then another security measure is to have someone around within earshot or working with you to do this. So if I'm working here, my partner will be working on the other end, and we'll be able to get this in much faster, which is always the name of the game. All right, so this is a good example of why these narrow little glue sticks are hugely important, as I can get in these small spaces. So having a couple of different options here is important. If I get a little bit of squeeze out from this corner right here, and it gets onto the bottom of this panel, I'm not really worried about that, only because I know that there's going to be glue in the bottom of this thing anyway. And as long as I don't get glue further up the panel, so bottom here, fine, top would be a problem. So as long as I don't have anything there, I should be in good shape. Last one, great. And you know what? Awkward. I can almost hear what everybody's saying at home with watching me do this and wondering, when is the handle going to go in? I have not forgotten about the handle. I just needed to get to the dovetails first, and then I'll come back and apply adhesive for this handle. If I did the handle first and then left that in contact, then that glue could already start to set up in really annoying ways. So I'm trying to do this strategically, so I'll have everything coming together when I need it, not just because the glue is going to tell me that, hey, this one's already glued on, you're committed. I don't like taking orders, especially from glue. Many of you might be able to relate to that, I don't know. All right, talking and gluing. I think that's how you get into an Ivy League school, is if you can do gluing up as well as communicating concepts and ideas. I am unable to, so I went to public schools all of my life. All right, rounding third. Trying to get glue on each one of these cheeks. If I miss one, it's probably not the end of the world, given that I've got so many tails, but it's always a good practice to be in to get glue everywhere you're going to need it. And yes, I'm probably putting on a generous amount of adhesive, which is okay. If the joint doesn't need the glue, it'll just kind of push it out and just means more cleanup for me. If I put too little in place, that's a much bigger concern of mine. Okay, good, good, good. Now the handle, did I do this right? That's right, that's right, great. All right. So long grain sections here and here, those are the important ones. The tenon actually is comprised 100% of long grain on these wide cheeks and then the top edges as well. It's the mortise that is a bigger concern, because there's only long grain on, in this application, the vertical sides. And I'm doing this slightly differently. I'm not driving the tenon in, partially like I do with the dovetails. And that is because I've got a longer tenon length than I have dovetails. And I'll show you the extension over here. That makes sense. A good gentle mallet is helpful. I've got a dead blow mallet here, which makes a huge difference. Alright, once I've got that together, you'll notice my pace quickening. Once I've got this together and everything's going well, I'm going to pull this off screen a little. Then I can transition into the clamps. The clamps do one big benefit that the mallet cannot, which is to slowly and kind of gently pull this together evenly, whereas the mallet only really focuses on where I'm striking in one specific area. So if I'm only pushing over here with the mallet, it could start to tilt or cant this piece, which is not great. And I should be doing more clamping, less talking. All right. So there we go. Gentle pressure. Great, great, great. Okay. Sorry, let me deal with this. All right, just want to bottom this out. All right, even or not even. Okay, clamp up top. So there's some strategy involved here with the placement of these clamps. I could go right here on the top, which I don't want to do. Just going to switch out for a clamp that has pads on both ends. By putting pressure right here on the top, there's very little material on this top section here above the mortise. If I over tighten that, it's going to want to bend and flex, and the wood can only flex so much before it starts to fail and give you a really bad day. This crazy shape that I have here on this end, this is the most vulnerable spot of my whole piece. So I can't clamp there if there is nothing but short grain that I'm connecting to. That will guarantee to pull off, and it's going to be, well, dramatic, but probably unceremoniously and kind of nasty. All right, so what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to put pressure below where the mortise is, and that will enable me to drive this thing home, getting good pressure where I need it to, and not compromise the strength or the integrity of these pieces, which is what I'm trying to do. All right, so this, as much as I would really love to pull this apart, I'm not sure if I'm going to. My panel is giving me a little bit of trouble. That might make some sense. Your square. Okay, so your square over here, this one is a little bit out of square. It's tipping just a little bit. So could be this clamp. So what I'm going to do is get rid of this temporarily. And then in order to correct something that's out of alignment, I could tweak the position of these clamps as well. So the top is kind of tipping in. So what I need to do is change the position of this clamp. I think this side here is a little bit too high. So I'm going to drop it down, and I'm going to raise this guy up just a little bit on my right. See if I can't walk this over a little bit more. And that works. Great, great, great. I'm just going to try to space my clamp a little bit more centered on where the tail is. That looks better. I'm seeing better squeeze out here on the shoulder, which is what I want. Great. All right. So cleanup happens now. So I talked about, I've got these areas that are squeezing out, which is good. I'm going to reapply this clamp temporarily. So the name of the game here with gluing things up is just moving as quickly and controlled as you possibly can. I can't stop and wait for anything. I'm actually taking a lot more time explaining some of these things than I ordinarily would have if I were working alone. All right, I could feel you cringe at home watching this, some of you woodworkers, because you're thinking, what are you doing? You're ruining this piece. You're just pushing that diluted glue around everywhere. You're not wrong. I guess I am doing that. But to me, it is the lesser of the two evils. I want to be able to get in and remove this adhesive so I don't have to deal with it later, as I mentioned. Without the tape, I think you're absolutely right. This would be a disaster because I'm just creating this little highlighted area where finish will not be received in the same way. It's going to be a little bit shinier where this glue is dried, which I don't want to do, but I'll be able to clean these things up without any big problems. The outside here, it didn't tape as we talked about, but I still have all kinds of access to getting in here and kind of scrubbing out this glue. That's why I like to use toothbrushes, especially those hard bristle ones that are really horrible for your gums that you can't find anymore, except for on the dark web where you can get all kinds of things that you can't get in regular stores. Anyway, hard bristle teeth for your brushes, critical. If you can do it, if not, any old toothbrush will do great. All right. I've got some carving that I put in there, so I just wanted to clean out those spaces. All right, good, great, good. That looks bad. This clamp is just right in the way where I don't want it. For that. Oh, good. Okay, sorry. I told you, talking and working is not easy. All right, squeeze out, squeeze out, squeeze out. Good, 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 good. Great. All right. So you notice I don't have any clamps here. There's really not much that we need to clamp to, assuming I've done my job of getting the joinery accurate. See that, and I think I might need to have a clamp in there. What I'm not going to worry about is cleaning up the squeeze out here or on the face here. Those pieces, because I mentioned before, I have full access to cleaning those out later. I'm going to take advantage of that. And so I will leave these things here, let the glue set, and then I'll come back and I'll start doing my hand planing and scraping, cleaning these things up. Great. All right. Ordinarily, I would show you this really great trick about taking the clamps off, because once we get these dovetails in and the glue is starting to set with good joinery, there's really no purpose that the clamps are doing anymore. So once that glue starts to stick, as you all know, it happens rapidly, then I can take these clamps off. But I want to tweak and adjust this guy just a little bit more. And then, oops, sorry, handle. See a little bit of a gap down in my groove down at the bottom I want to take care of. So squeezing that thing down, make it go away. Great. Great. Okay. That's the glue up process. Thank you for your patience. Hopefully I'll do some really creative editing to get rid of the boring stuff. All right, thanks everyone.